Good morning students, Bindu Chaudhary is with you in your social science class, and today we are covering our unit first, the Indian Constitution and Secularism of our book Social and Political Life part 3rd, and in this one we are concluding our chapter 2nd, Understanding Secularism. We had studied our part first, and in this part first we had studied about the definition of secularism, how the separation of powers important between state and the religion, and how it is necessary to categorize the separation of state's power, because every citizen have the fundamental right to adopt any religion as well as the practicing, reading and learning of any religious prayers as well as their thinkings also. And when we are studying about the worldwide situations, student, then it is also important then considering to the Indian. Yes, today we are covering our part 2nd, and part 2nd holds about the Indian secularism. So we are starting here. What is Indian secularism? The Indian Constitution mandates that the Indian state be secular. It is written in our Indian Constitution. What is important here, student? It is important that Indian state be a secular state. According to the Constitution, only a secular state can realize its objectives to ensure many things. Many things, it means following things are necessary to hold the objectives. Okay. First one is here, that one religious community does not dominate other. It means one religious community, whether that is majority in or in a minority, that has no power to dominate the other religious community. Second important thing is here, that some members do not dominate other members of the same religious community, because many times it is going on in practice that only in one member of the community, it means only in one religious community many members are there, and in that special community what happens, student, one of the major part always dominate the other part of the society. In our previous part we had studied about the untouchability, and we are giving examples of untouchabilities in that one also. When we are taking the third important point, that the state does not enforce any particular religion nor take away the religious freedom of individuals. So state had no right about what, student? About the practice of any religious freedom by the individuals. State will not interfere between all these things as per the Indian Constitution fundamental rights. When we are considering all these things, then the conclusion is here. The Indian state works in various ways to prevent the above domination. Yes, many preventive measures are adopted by the state to prevent all these things. One by one we are continuing here. When we are considering the first point here, first, it uses a strategy of distancing itself from religion. So state is totally separated from the religion. Okay, we had studied about secularism, the definition of secularism, and in that one also it is totally clear that a strategy of distancing of state totally is necessary itself from the religion. When we are considering about the next point, the Indian state is not ruled by a religious groups, and nor does it support any one religion. So this is also in the Indian Constitution, written Constitution. What the important thing? Indian state is totally not ruled by only and only one religious groups, and nor it is in practice by the support of the any religion. So in secularism, no majority and minority companies, religions and citizens interference in the Indian state. And what is the important thing here? See, in India, government spaces like law courts, police stations, government schools and offices are not supposed to display or promote any one religion. Yes, in your class also you have many religious groups also. Religious groups, it means maybe any student is of different religious community and other one is of different religious community, but not interference between all this, because you are united, you are playing together, you are studying together. So nothing is here, and same is governed by the Indian constitution also, that in our law courts, that in police stations, that in our government schools, nothing is a matter, not in the offices also, nothing supposed to display or promote any special religion here, any special religious community here. When we are considering about the picture of our previous part, yes, national integration, masjid, Christianity, church is there, Mohammedans masjid is there, Hindus temples are there, and Sikhism gurudwaras are also there, and the students plays football or any game. They are studying in a matter. So in the above storyboard, we had just seen in our previous part, the celebration of the religious festivals are also there. When we are considering about the religious festivals, it is important, student, because within the school would have been a violation of the government's policy of treating all religions equally. Yes, not only a special community plays their important role in the annual functions or the religious festivals. All the communities have equal rights. As you see your calendars also, school calendars, holidays, especially when we are mentioning about the holidays, you see every community have their holidays. When we are celebrating Rakhi, when we are celebrating Holi and what? Diwali, on the same time we are celebrating Christians, Christmas Day, Good Friday, and on the same time we are celebrating Eid-ul Zuha and Eid-ul Fitr, etc. And on the same time we are celebrating Guru Gobind Singh's Jayantis and etc. all these things. So in our school's holiday calendars also we are reading that the representation of the all the religious communities are there. When we are talking about the government schools cannot promote any one religion, either in their morning prayers or through religious celebrations, etc. So as we see the calendars of the school holidays, same, the government schools are not allowed to practice any religious prayers as well as any religious celebrations. If they are holding all religious celebrations, then not a big problem is there. This rule does not apply to private school, because many private schools holds their own religious communities also. So it is only implementing in the social or government schools. Okay. When we are considering the main second point here, the second way in which Indian secularism works to prevent the above domination is through a strategy of non-interference. This one is important. What's the strategy of non-interference? It means any religious community will not interfere to the another religious community or religious people, and the state will not play a role to favor any religious community. This means that in order to respect the sentiments of all religions, not a single one religion, student, not a single one community here, it means the sentiments of all religions, and not therefore with religious practices, the state makes certain exceptions for particular religious communities. Yes, many practices are there. See, this one is the situation you always seen in routes also. What's the situation here? One person has helmet, but another person holds pagadi. What's the reason behind this? Why not police arrest this person? There is a special reason for this one. We will study here. Okay, reason behind it. In the above storyboard, Paramjit, the Sikh youth, does not have to wear a helmet. Yes, he is not using helmet. So what? This is because the Indian state recognizes that wearing a pagadi or turban this one is pagadi, or we will call it turban also, is central to a Sikh religious practice. Yes, pagadi is the symbol of the religious Sikh religious practice, and in order not to interfere with this, allows an exception in the law. That's why police not holds the Sikh peoples whether they wear helmet or not, because they wear the pagadi, which is a religious faith. Next, third point is here, the third way in which Indian secularism works to prevent the domination listed earlier is through a strategy of intervention. This is also important. Strategy of intervention is also important because it is necessary to prevent the domination listed in this one. When we are studying all these things, then it is clear that you read earlier in this chapter about untouchability. Yes, untouchability we read in our previous part, and in that one we discussed about the situations, whether of the same religious community, whether of the different religious community, no discriminations on the basis of the untouchabilities is there. So, all these examples are the good example where members of the same religion, upper caste Hindus, when we are considering about the discrimination, persecution. So, what's the relation with all these things here? We are considering with one more example, students, that the members of the same religion, upper caste Hindus dominate other members. Other members, it means some lower caste within it. In Hindus also upper caste are there and lower caste are there, and all these happens with the upper class families, and they always dominate on the lower classes or the untouchables. In order to prevent this religion based exclusion and discrimination of lower caste, the Indian constitution bans untouchability. That is the main important thing, that our Indian constitution always bans the untouchability, maybe of any caste, maybe of any religion, especially when we are talking about the untouchability by the upper class to the lower caste of the same community here. In this instance, the state is intervening in religion in order to end a social practice that it believes discriminates and excludes, and that violates the fundamental rights of lower caste who are citizens of this country. See the situation, once the state is interfering in the situation. Why the state is interfering here? Because of the social practice and beliefs of the discriminations, and all these things violates the fundamental rights of the lower caste peoples. That's why state intervenes in all these things, because we all are the citizens of the same country, it means the India. Similarly, to ensure that laws relating to equal inheritance right are respected. So, for the equality, right to equality, it is important that every citizen holds the right to be equal, not on the basis of caste, not on the basis of religion, not on the basis of upper class, lower caste, or not by the favor or disfavor of the state here. The state may have to intervene in the religion based personal laws of communities. So, many times this one comes into practice, that state also intervene all these things, and only for the purpose of the securing the India. The intervention of the state can also be in the form of the support also, as we studied about the untouchability, that we studied about the domination of upper class on the lower class, we studied about the discrimination of the majority peoples holds the power to the minority communities. So, the Indian constitution grants the right to religious communities to set up their own schools and colleges. It means if any religious group of communities wants to set up their own school, wants to set up their own colleges, they are allowed as madrasas are there. As many Sikhs, they had their own schools and colleges are there. Same, any community has the power to set up their own schools and colleges. No intervention from the any side of the people by the Indian Constitution. Second thing here, it also gives them financial aid on a non-preferential basis. It means not one community holds the favor of the financial help by the state, Indian state, and not the other one. All are non-preferential basis, because the government gives financial aids to all the communities without any discrimination. In what way is Indian secularism different from that of other democratic countries? As we are studying the whole chapter here, we studied about the first chapter starting the Jews in the Hitler's Germany, the condition of Saudi Arabia, the condition of the other countries where the non-Muslims are not allowed, where only one majority groups are allowed to pray. So the situations, worldwide situations we are studying, and on that basis how Indian secularism different from that of the other democratic countries. You will check out the things here. Some of the above objectives are similar to those that have been included in the constitution of secularism democratic countries in other parts of the world also. Yes, one by one in democratic countries, in the purpose of the secularism, many steps are taken by the states also. When we are considering example here, the first amendment of the US Constitution. When we are studying the other states or the worldwide states, then what's happened? The first amendment of the US Constitution prohibits the legislature from making laws respecting an establishment of religion, or that prohibit the free exercise of religion. So this one is the first example by the US Constitution, because US Constitution prohibits, it prohibits the practice of making law respecting an establishment of the religion. Or it is important that what's the US Constitution holds, what is meant by the word establishment here. Yes, we are connecting establishment word again and again. So what is the word establishment means? It means that the legislature cannot declare any religion as the official religion. It means not a single religion is there, because establishment word holds everything. Because establishment words had a definition of the legislature that cannot declare any religion as the official religion in that country, nor can they give preference to one religion. It means not a single religion is dominating the whole of the country there. When we are considering about US, that is the one example. When we are considering about USA, United States of America, the separation between state and religion means that neither the state nor religion can interfere in the affairs of one another. We had studied about the Indian Constitution, we are studying about US, and what about USA also. In USA, what happens, student? Separation between state and religion totally means that neither the state nor the religion interfere in the affairs of one another. It means state has no power to interfere in the religion, and religion has no power to interfere in the state. There is one significant way in which Indian secularism, yes, studying about Indian secularism, differs from the dominant understanding of secularism as practiced in the United States of America. It means in our India, we are totally differ from the constitution of the United States of America only on the basis of the secularism, because it is totally different. Why this is different, student? This is different because unlike the strict separation between religion and the state in American secularism, in Indian secularism the state can intervene in religious affairs. Many times we are studying, many times the state intervenes in the religious affairs also, as we studied about the turban or pagdi of the Sikh, and not any avoidation of the rules are there, because it is the faith of the Sikhs in turban and the state respect this one. You have read about how the Indian constitution intervened in Hindu religious practices in order to abolish untouchability. Yes, we had studied about untouchability situations also, and in that untouchability what we studied? We studied about the how the upper class always dominate on the lower class, and the state intervenes in this one and it stops the practices to abolish the untouchability, because abolishment is important for the untouchability situation. So, state holds the power to intervene in this one. When we are considering about the Indian secularism, in Indian secularism, though the state is not strictly separate from religion. After the practice of this chapter, after the study of this practice of the separation of state and religion, what we conclude, students? We conclude that state is not strictly separate from religion. This means that any interference in religion by the state has to be based on the ideals laid out in the constitution. It's okay, state will interfere, but as per the constitution, all things depends that why state interference and what's the importance of interference is there. But according to the constitution, all these things going on. These ideals serve as the standard through which we can judge whether the state is or is not behaving according to secular principle. So, the concept of the interference of state in the religion is totally clear in your mind, that if any thing happens avoiding the rules of the laws, then only state will intervene in the situation, as the situation of the Sikhs pagdi, as the situation of the untouchabilities. We are taking lot of examples here. The Indian state is secular and works in various ways to prevent religious dominations. What are these various ways, students? See, the Indian constitution guarantees fundamental rights that are based on the secular principles. So, the first way to prevent religious domination is what? Is to that guarantees fundamental rights that are based on the secular principles. So, it is important. Next one, this is not to say that there is no violation of these rights in Indian society. Yes, many times violations of laws are there, and that is the main reason to intervene the state in the religion. Indeed, it is precisely because such violations happen frequently that we need a constitutional mechanism to prevent them from happening. That is the main reason why the Indian constitution precisely do all these things, because the violations happen frequently, and that we need to a constitutional mechanism there, and in this constitutional mechanism we need to prevent them from the happenings and mishappenings of the things all around us in our society. The knowledge that such a right exists makes us sensitive to their violations and enables us to take actions when these violations takes place. So, how secularism, understanding secularism is important for all of us, how the separation of powers of state and the powers of religion is important, how many times state intervenes religion, how untouchability is in the same religion community is there, how state intervene in this one, how state intervene the other things happening in the majority dominated society or community, religious community to the minority communities. Not we are studying only the Indian constitution, Indian state secularism, we are studying the whole of the world's situation in this chapter. Hope you all understand this chapter. We will conclude in our next session. Stay with us.